Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Ian Practice. For props for today, I suggest having a couple hard blocks and a soft block, and a bolster or a pillow, something like that. And I'll invite you to get started. We'll start off on the back in a reclined butterfly with the spine resting on the bolster. So you can set up the bolster lengthwise on the mat, and then just have your hard blocks on either side a little further down in case you need them. And then the soft block, if you're using something that's really thick, a soft block might be useful to sit on just so it's a little less steep for the low back. And you can just have that nearby in case you need it there or anywhere else. So you can come to sit down just in front of your bolster and then slowly lower the spine down onto it. And soles of the feet together, knees wide apart, and maybe support the legs with your hard blocks. And find a version of this that feels nice and comfortable. So if there's any pinching going on, or maybe you need something with a different angle, you could also slide your soft block kind of underneath the top end of the bolster, and it'll just change the angle a little bit, maybe keep you a little more upright. Arms you can settle in wherever they feel the most comfortable. And if it feels okay to close down the eyes, then go for it. If anything feels a little fidgety, feel free to find some movement now, and then when you're ready, come and find your stillness. And taking a scan through the body to notice how everything's feeling today. Notice where the mind is. And guide it back to your breath and to your body. If the legs are open, you can reach down and gently guide the knees back together. And then roll down to one side wherever you have the most space and push the bolster out of the way so you can come to lying flat on the back. And check in here for a moment. It might feel nice to windshield wiper the knees a little bit side to side. Awesome. And then when you feel ready, look around for those heart blocks. And you can walk the feet in underneath the knees. Lift the hips just enough that you can slide your heart blocks underneath the pelvis. Finding a supported bridge pose, and find something that feels comfortable. So if it feels like the blocks are digging into the spine, maybe you need to shift them down a little bit. And again, find a comfortable place for the arms. They can be anywhere beside you. You could even take them to the floor overhead if that feels good. If the arms go a little numb at some point, just lower them back down. And check in here, see if there's anything you'd like to adjust that would help the pose feel a little more effortless. Find your stillness in the shape as you feel ready. If your arms are extended overhead, you can gently bring them down to your sides. And press the feet to the floor, lift the hips just enough that you can slide your props out of the way, and then slowly sequence the spine back down to the floor. Maybe taking the feet wide, resting the knees in together, maybe the hands somewhere on the body. Or if you want movement, take a few rounds of windshield wiper side to side. you feel ready to set up for the next shape, you can look around pretty much for any of your props. I'm going to use the bolster and take it between the knees. Now scoot the hips over to the left a few inches and then lower the knees down towards the right. And see what this feels like. If you need to adjust or if you'd rather do the shape without the prop or something else, then go for it. Maybe arms to a T shape or a cactus. And if you like to take the gaze down towards the left, then go for it. Once again, if anything needs a little movement here to help you settle in, then feel free to find that first. And when you're ready, find your stillness in the shape. Gently guide the head back to center, lifting the knees back up one at a time or together. And we'll set straight up for the second side so you can scoot the hips now over to the right hand corner or right hand side and slowly lower the knees down towards the left. And this side might feel a little different, so take your time to set up. And if you'd like to use your props a little differently, then go for it. If you did so on the first side, this time take the gaze down towards the right. Finding your stillness as you feel ready.
Gently bring the head back to center. You can remove your bolster to the side and then bring the knees back up too, scooting the hips to midline. See what you need here. If you'd like to pause, go for it, or maybe to windshield wiper. When you're ready, collect the knees into your chest, wrap the arms around them, and give yourself a hug. You might lift the forehead to the knees as well, and then take a gentle rock up and down the length of the spine. And then building up a little momentum to come up to a seat. And from here, we'll set up for a squat. So you can start to set yourself up any way you like. Bring the feet to the floor, and then notice if the heels don't quite touch down, then that's not a bad thing, but it might feel better to have the heels feel grounded, so you're welcome to bring some props in underneath the heels like this. Another option, especially if there's some pressure in the low back, is to make yourself a seat with your props, and then that will take some of the pressure out. And then I'm going to offer to gently round in on this squat, but check in if that doesn't work for you. If you'd rather stay with a tall spine, then go for that. The hands can also be together if you're staying upright. If you are rounding in, just mindful of ankles, knees, hips, low back. Maybe bring the hands down to the floor, the chin towards the chest. You can start to let the head get nice and heavy here. We're about halfway through the shape. Option if you're looking for a little more sensation, especially through the upper spine, and if you don't need the hands for support, you could think about interlacing the hands behind the skull, not so much to pull, but just adding the weight of the arms to the stretch. If the hands are interlaced, you can release them to the floor. And from here, we'll transition to a wide-legged fold, but if you want, check and see if you want to have your hard blocks nearby. So fingertips down towards the floor, let the spine be heavy as you slowly extend the legs. And we'll take the feet a little bit wider apart here, so maybe as wide as the mat, and maybe a little bit closer. And then just check in here for the hips. You can be in a halfway lift shape for as long as you need, and you can use your blocks for this too. Wag the tail a little bit. Just snake the spine. When you feel ready, see if you'd like to fold over the legs or stay in your halfway lift. If you are folding, you can let the spine be really heavy. If you like to add a slight or generous bend to the knees here, you're welcome to do that as well. And see what you'd like to do with the arms. They can stay to the floor, to the support. You can bring them to the legs. You could do hands to hips or even interlace behind the spine. You could bring hands behind the skull, or you can do earmuffs with the hands, palms to the ears, adding a little weight here, releasing the upper back. Find your expression of the shape and settle into it. Gently releasing the fingertips to the floor. You can come and find a halfway lift shape. Once again, just a little bit of movement for the spine, for the hips. And then we'll come and find a seat so you can heel toe the feet a little bit closer together, maybe coming through your squat and lowering the bum down to the floor. Releasing the legs out in front, giving them a little tap, a little swish side to side. And then come and find any comfortable seated position, cross-legged or anything else. You can use your props for support. And we'll end with a seated meditation for today. If you'd rather end in Shavasana on your back, then you can do that as well. Just before we do that, we'll do one last side stretch here. So you can take the right hand down towards the right, reach the left arm high, lengthen through the whole left side, and then arc it over towards the right. Any expression of this, so maybe the right hand walks out a little bit, left arm can stay extended, or you can bend the elbow, you can turn the head wherever feels best. And keep the left side of the pelvis heavy and find that stretch through the left-hand side. Slowly making your way back up to center. You can release the arms for a moment. If they need a little shake out, then go for it. And we'll set up for the second side. So left hand off to the left, right arm reaches high. Find a deep stretch here. And then arc your way over. Mirroring whatever you did on the first side. If you need to adjust a little bit, then go for it. The right side of the pelvis stays heavy and find that deep stretch through the whole right side. Gently release the right hand, make your way back up to center, and then see what feels good. Maybe a little rocking side to side or a few rounds of a seated cat-cow. Maybe some gentle twists. Check in to see if the body is asking for anything else here. If you're sitting cross-legged with me, then switch to the cross of the legs just to find the opposite side. And if you're ending with me in a seated meditation, just take a moment to settle yourself in. Ground down the hips, gently lengthen the spine, maybe a slight tuck of the chin towards the throat, a little softness for the shrug muscles. The hands can land wherever they like. Find your stillness, find your rest here.
Gently bring your attention back to the space. Taking a few deep breaths to reawaken the body. Take a moment to scan through, to check in. Notice your headspace, notice your body. Hands can stay where they are, collect them at the heart. Bow the chin to the chest. Thank you for sharing your practice today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for your yin practice. My name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your day.